Donald Trump has vowed to completely upend the immigration system in this country. His plans would include conducting the largest deportation operation in U.S. history through the use of mass raids, as well as detention camps for undocumented migrants. We could see a return to the inhumane child separation policies from his first administration, which President Biden is still trying to clean up and reunite those families.
A new caravan of at least 1,500 migrants are rushing to the southern border, trying to make it before President-elect Trump takes office, as Texas steps up to help Trump's border agenda.
Trump has also announced that he will not only re-implement his travel ban that focused on Muslim-majority countries, but expand the number of countries that it would cover.
So here's the question. Will Trump's strategy to deport illegal migrants crossing into the United States be successful? That is the question that everyone is asking themselves right now. And people in America, after this election, they have told the Democrats, we do not want to continue to pay for illegal immigrants crossing into the border. They're bankrupting cities, and individual states are taking their opportunity to address this issue.
Also, right now, several cities across America are promising to push back and defy President-elect Trump's plans for mass deportations. It's one of his biggest campaign promises. Well, Denver's Democratic Mayor Mike Johnston predicting a Tiananmen Square type situation with residents rising up against the federal government.
Boston Mayor Michelle Wu doubling down on refusing to cooperate with President-elect Trump's plan for mass deportations.
We have laws on the books that ensure that we do not cooperate on civil immigration detainers.
Sunday on OTR, I asked Mayor Wu what Boston's response would be if mass deportations happen.
We are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear and having large-scale economic impact.
Governor Psaki, you've said that you're not going to help with Donald Trump's aspirations to do mass deportations. I think there are a lot of people out there who are happy to hear that. What can you specifically do to stop his efforts moving forward as once he becomes president?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, as you know, it's unlawful. You can't use the military. You can't do mass deportation. So any federal administration, you should expect states, and I think you should expect some bipartisan support, not just by the Democratic governors, is that violating the Constitution and the law. We're not going to do that. We ought to be working on making sure that violent criminals and criminal activity is stopped everywhere. There isn't a state that isn't interested, whether you're an American citizen or not. And he effectively, Trump, killed the bipartisan border deal. Not the first time that he's done that. We need more agents. We need more collective effort so that we're bringing border security and holding people accountable where they are. Disrupting family status and the economy, inhumane, cruel, unfair, discriminate policies that, again, are illegal on their face. We are not going to cooperate in any way in that effort.
And everyone in America knows what's going on. We've heard the Democrats through this election, when Kamala Harris lost, we've heard them say, it's no big deal. The Republicans are over-exaggerating the problem. When you see issues going on in these individual cities, it's not as bad as anyone's telling you, but Americans on the ground know the difference between the lies they've been told by Democrats and what they're actually experiencing and seeing on the ground in these individual cities. These people in Chicago, in Denver, all over the country, they know these illegal migrants are coming into their cities and bankrupting their cities. You've got mayors like Brandon Johnson telling citizens that they're going to have to raise their taxes because they don't have enough money to take care of their priorities after they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on illegal migrants being bused to their cities. And of course, you'll hear these mayors try to blame Governor Abbott down in Texas and say, it's his fault. He shipped them up here. But we have to remember these mayors, these governors in these sanctuary cities and states, respectively, have said, hey, we'll take these people in. We'll take care of them. We're a welcoming state. We're a welcoming city. And it wasn't until the actual effects of bringing these migrants in caused fiscal damage, that you actually heard some actual pushback in these states and cities. But even after you've seen all this drama going on, after you've seen all these cities experiencing these financial difficulties, you've got cities like Los Angeles who are coming in and they are rushing to declare themselves as sanctuary cities.
There is already pushback to some of President-elect Trump's deportation plans, specifically to the military, using the military to help round up migrants. The ACLU is now suing to get details of the incoming administration's mass deportation plan. That suit filed in Los Angeles, where the city council will consider an ordinance later today, making it a sanctuary city. That measure already has the backing of the mayor. It is expected to pass.
And it's not just Los Angeles. You've got mayors and governors all over the country saying they are not going to cooperate with the federal government. They are going to continue this sanctuary state and this sanctuary city policy, and the consequences to the local taxpayers be damned. If you've watched this channel, you know we've covered Mayor Brandon Johnson repeatedly, his inefficacy, his ineptitude, his financial malfeasance. But Brandon Johnson actually went on the record and said, even if Trump as president withholds federal dollars, and even if it continues to put financial strain on the city of Chicago, he doesn't care. He's going to protect illegal migrants.
Also today, with the potential loss of federal dollars for law enforcement if the city won't cooperate with the Trump administration's plans to deport undocumented immigrants, the mayor making it clear Chicago will not be bullied into helping ICE agents.
We're not going to bend or break or cower to someone's threat. We're going to stand up and unite around our shared values, and they have my assurance that I'm going to protect the families of this city.
Do me a favor, if you're seeing value in this video, go ahead, take a quick minute. We are so close to our goal of expanding our group to actually get to 1,000 subscribers. We're right there. We need your help. We need your help. We want your help. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, and share it. That's going to help us grow our group so we can get as many people into this conversation as possible. Thank you. So we see what's going on in America, what's going on in American cities and states that are sanctuary cities, that they did not take this issue seriously enough during the campaign. The Biden-Harris campaign didn't take it seriously, and that's one of the reasons they lost this campaign. That's one of the reasons that Donald Trump got reelected. So I want all of us to be honest. The Democrats are not listening to the American people. They are not listening to the sense of urgency that is happening in blue states and blue cities that are saying repeatedly over and over again, the federal government is not doing its job. Therefore, we are going to vote for the opposition party, in this case, the Republicans, because we are not going to continue to accept the financial responsibility of taking care of individuals who are here illegally, who have not paid any taxes, they have not sown any seeds into this economy, and they're asking American citizens to pick up the tab. But I do want us to remember one important thing. If Donald Trump is successful in deporting all of the illegal migrants who are here in this country, it's not going to be without consequence. We are going to have some negative consequences to deporting millions of people out of the country who are working the jobs that Americans don't want to work. Take a listen to this economist speaking about that here.
There are certain industries that concentrate undocumented immigrants. Agriculture is a big one. The restaurant business is a big one. Yes. Construction is another big one. And then there's a whole host of other industries, but those are the big ones. In those industries, undocumented immigrants are a major part of the labor force. Not only that, they are a more important cause of the profitability in those industries than their mere numbers would tell you. Why? Because an undocumented immigrant can be and is regularly abused by the employer. Yes. For the obvious reason, which if you have any contact with these folks, they'll tell you 10 different stories. I've heard them all. It's Friday afternoon. Everybody's going to pick up their check at the front office before they go home. Jose arrives. He stands in line, waits for his check. The boss says, Jose, we've had a terrible week. We didn't make the money. I can't pay you this week. But if you come back next week, I can be sure to pay you. What is Jose going to do? Answer, nothing. He dare not go to any government office because he's an undocumented. He can't show a paper. He can't show a residence allowance, nothing. He's terrified of going anywhere near the labor office. There's nothing he can do. And the employer knows it. The employers look for these people because of this. Okay, now let's imagine you deport them. First of all, that costs billions because you're talking about 10 to 12 million people. You have to house them, you have to move them, you have to feed them in the process, you have to deal with the umpteen million lawsuits that will immediately crop up around all of this. This is going to take time and is going to cost personnel and it's going to be an immense expense. But that's the least of it. Here comes the big one. Every one of those industries is a crucial player in the inflation level of the United States. Who's going to pick the lettuce? Who's going to pick the fruit? Who's going to do all that work? Who's going to clean the dishes in the back of the restaurant? Who's going to clean up at the end, the evening when the patrons of the restaurant go home? Well, the answer is you either close the restaurant, and that has economic consequences, or you close the farms, and that's really not an option, or you're going to have to hire Americans. And Americans won't be afraid to go to the labor office if you don't pay them. So you're going to actually have to pay them. And you're probably going to have to pay them a good bit more than the immigrant for all the reasons you normally pay immigrants less than native workers, which means the cost structure of these industries is going to take off. And you know what they're all going to do, those employers? They're going to raise their prices. You're going to cause social upheaval. You're going to cause inflation. Mr. Trump can't do that. Inflation is half of why he got elected.
True.
How can he turn around and then be the person who has to go on TV and try to explain why he promised to deal with inflation, only it's gotten worse?
So as it is with most decisions, there's a pro, there's a con. There's a good, there's a bad. Yes, we can deport all of these migrants out of the United States, but it's not going to be without consequence. These migrants are working the jobs Americans don't want to do. They're picking our fruit. They're working in our hotels. They're cleaning the bedpans in nursing homes. If we deport all these people, there's going to be some savings. There's going to be a Pyrrhic victory. However, in that Pyrrhic victory, we are going to experience inflation. We are going to experience some other negative unintended consequences because Americans are not going to go into our fields and pick fruit for $5 an hour. They're going to want a living wage if they decide to do it at all. So we do have to look at both sides. Yes, the United States is a sovereign country. We do have borders that need to be respected. We do need to reinforce the laws in our country, but we do also have to be honest about if we deport these individuals, there are going to be negative consequences that we are going to experience in our economy in the short term. Maybe in the long term, it'll shake itself out. But in the short term, we are going to see rises in prices. We are going to see a contraction of the economy. So we just have to be prepared that while we are trying to deport these individuals for whom we don't want to have any responsibility, we do have to acknowledge one simple fact that is incontrovertible. We are going to have rises in prices in the meantime, both from the cost of deporting these individuals and from the loss of labor that they represent in our economy. Go ahead, like, share, comment on this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. And I'm also going to talk about a Venezuelan gang that is impacting our economy, Tren de Aragua. That's one of the real reasons why we need to get our arms around this illegal immigration, because they are having a more important impact in the United States than most Americans are aware of.